Hi. This is my attempt to relate all those haunted and paranormal encounters I personally experienced in the past 40 years. And I hope to illustrate as detailed and accurately as possible according to the actual event. These are absolutely genuine and I kept them until now, to share with everyone. I hope you are ready. Let's begin. Before we begin, please help to subscribe to the channel. It will not cost you anything, but your subscription would meant a lot to me. So please go ahead and click on the subscribe button now. And, please share it with your families, friends, and colleagues on all your social media platforms, so they can enjoy these stories too. Let's continue. In the last episode, my story begins when I was assigned to sweep the pavement that day. It was a hot day. I was sweeping for an hour, when suddenly, I felt a sudden pinch on my neck, and then another time on my arm, like something just bit me. My natural instinct is to shake it off. Then I saw the wasp. Wasp is very commonly seen in Asia. They are non-aggressive and usually don't sting people. Only the female wasp can sting when it felt its nest is threatened. One thing is for sure, the sting is really painful, and I was rushed to the local hospital. By the time I arrived at the hospital, my neck had swollen. My arm was also swollen. The majority of people without sting allergies will show only minor symptoms during and after a wasp sting. The initial sensations can include sharp pain or burning at the sting site. Redness, swelling, and itching can occur as well. However, I have developed symptoms of large local reactions which may be caused by allergic reactions to wasp stings. Symptoms include extreme redness and swelling that increases for 2 or 3 days after the sting. Nausea and vomiting can also occur. Therefore, I was given some antihistamine medication to reduce my discomfort and asked to be warded for observations. It was a 6-bedded ward, and the 2 beds nearer to the windows were occupied by 2 old ladies. The beds nearer to the door were 2 old men, whereas the bed opposite me was another old woman. The 3 ladies were very chatty, very sociable, and friendly. The men on the contrary were very quiet. Especially the man diagonally opposite was very sick. He begins to moan every once in a while. Next morning, it's breakfast time. When I woke up, when I looked diagonally across the moaning man direction, I can only see a neat and tidy empty bed. The man had passed away. The hospital is pretty quiet most of the time, just some footsteps of nurses once in a while, and occasionally, coercing the patients to take their medicines. The noisiest period is probably during mealtime when the nurse pushes the trays in. On the 3rd day, everyone except me was discharged, leaving me alone. Believe me, being alone in an empty room at night was pretty creepy. So, after a while, I decided to close my curtains. After closing my curtain, I begin to hear whispering voices in the room. The voices are very soft and difficult to make up what language it was. So I reach for the curtain and open a little gap to see who was talking outside. From the curtain gap, I can see the dim light coming in from the corridor. The lights flickers once in a while, but I cannot see anyone. However, the whispering voices was gone by then. After some time, I saw a nurse coming in and out the room from the small curtain gap. I begin to relax a bit by then. Then, I fell asleep. Then, suddenly, I saw an old man with pale white face and white hair opening my curtain. I was so scared that I woke up immediately. Luckily, it was just a dream, at least that was what I thought. However, what I could not explain was the curtain was actually pulled open. I kept telling myself it was just a nightmare, the old man does not exist. And I couldn't sleep anymore. At that moment, I was hoping the nurse came, but surprisingly nobody came. I stay up all the way until 6 a.m. I was so happy when I heard that I can discharge that Sunday. While I was waiting for my transport to fetch me back to my camp, I asked if I can thank that lady nurse who came over so many times to check on me last night. The male nurse was surprised. He told me that the hospital was seriously short-handed during the weekend. They only have few nurses looking after several wards, and they won't be visiting any patients unless we press the emergency button. Moreover, all night shifts nurses are male nurses. Hauntings and paranormal activities in hospitals are obvious because that is where most of the death happened. Furthermore, there won't be any attempt to perform rituals to cleanse these premises, least to mention changing the beds of the deceased. As far as the history and background of the hospital, if you know more about the hospital in 1985, please write in the comments below. If you like the content of this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed immediately whenever I uploaded my next video. Let's continue. During those days before the West Malaysia North-South Highway was built, traveling to Malaysia was either driving through the Woodlands Causeway, and along those torturing and dangerous narrow compound roads. Or, you can fly, depending on where you are heading. You might not have a direct flight sometime. Like one of the business trip to Ipoh, I have to fly to Malacca first. Then, I have to wait for 3 hours before boarding another flight bound for Ipoh. Then it was another 45 minutes noisy ride on the Fokker twin propeller plane. By the time I arrived in Ipoh, it was already 4:15 in the afternoon. I decided to visit the customer the next day since it was so late already the day when I arrived. So, I took a taxi to the hotel instead. The taxi took me to the best hotel at that time. It was the tallest building in town. The hotel was also popular because it was within walking distance to the infamous Chicken Beansprout Hor Fun in Ipoh. I was given a room on the 7th floor that day. Because there was a pub on the 2nd floor, the hotel usually likes to put their business occupants and those who prefer some serenity higher up in the building. After I collected my key, I dragged my luggage and took the lift to my floor. When the lift door opened, you can see the entire corridor right to the end. The wall and room doors were all completely flush. The floor was carpeted throughout the entire floor. There was no window in the corridor too. My room was right in the middle. It was a twin-bedded room. Everything was neat and decent. The toilet came with a vanity top basin, which was considered as a luxury amenity at that time. It also had a standard shower and a bathtub. I quickly unpacked my luggage and freshened up myself, and left my room for my dinner shortly after. I might have taken too long in my room. By the time I step out of the hotel, it's as already turned dark. The hotel actually looks a little creepy at night. Since I was near and early, it wasn't too long to wait for my meal to be served. The portion was slightly too little for me, so after finishing my first round, I ordered for my second serving. By then, the restaurant has began to get busy and it took me 30 minutes to get my food. After dinner, I went back to the hotel lobby lounge to enjoy my welcome drink. After I finished my drink, I can see from the window that it's about to rain soon, so I left the lounge and decides to call it a day. It was around 9 p.m. when I am back in my room. When I was about to take my shower, I heard the doorbell ring. Since I wasn't expecting anyone, I assume it's my neighbor doorbell, therefore I ignored it. As I just begin to shampoo my hair, I heard the door knocking. The sound is a bit soft at first, together with the shower on, I can hardly hear it. So I still assume it was for someone in another room. After a while, it rang again. This time it was loud and clear. I definitely confirm it's my doorbell. So I shouted, "Wait a minute," while I wrapped myself with a towel and went to answer the door. Since the bathroom is right next to the door, from the shower to the door, literally need less than 10 seconds. But to my surprise, no one was at the door. There was no one even on the corridor. So I guess I heard wrongly again. The doorbell must be from the floor upstairs or below. Therefore, I closed the door and went back to my bathroom. As I was about to turn on the tap, it rang again. This time, I am very sure, it was my doorbell. So, I wrapped up myself with the towel again and walked to the door, and I shouted, "Coming." Again, there was no one at the door when I opened it. I even stick my head out to the corridor to check if there was anyone there. But all I can see was an empty corridor, and there was no way anyone can hide away since the wall and all the room doors were completely flush. At that point, I was sure that someone was playing a prank on me, so I decided to wait behind the door and surprise the culprit when they pressed the doorbell again. Nothing happened, so I thought it must be my neighbors who could be listening for noises in my room before they decides to attack again. So, I intentionally turned on my shower and let it run. Then, I hide behind the door and peep through the peeping hole. I waited for quite a long while, but the corridor is still vacant, and when I just lifted my head away from the peephole, it rang. Immediately, I opened the door. But again there was no one. I stick my head out into the corridor and I saw nobody. However, I heard a small child giggling and footsteps running away from my door to the end of the corridor. Immediately, I felt a sudden chill up my spine. Goosebumps grew all over my body. Hairs all over my body started to raise too. It seems like the surrounding temperature suddenly dropped below sub-zero. And the TV turns on by itself. I was so scared that I hid myself in bed. Then, the lights went off. I was in total darkness. I began to start my prayers. Not long after, the lights came back. I quickly got dressed and packed up. It was only close to midnight when I checked out from the hotel. Although the hotel offered me another room after I explained what happened to them, but I simply have no guts to go through everything again. Therefore, I rather stayed in the lobby and sleep on the couch till the next morning. If you ask me, where most of my haunting and paranormal experiences happen, one of them is definitely hotels. That's why I usually get myself either very tired or drunk before I get back to my hotel when I am traveling alone. But sometime, it doesn't work. Check out in my next episode. Afterworld Concierge. If you like the content of this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed immediately whenever I uploaded my next video.